artists always think, us artists, we think we're special. We think the rules don't apply to us and that we need our own special rule book. And I see you artists, you do need that. like, because it's really boring to read about how to get somebody onto an email list who is a weight loss coach when you're not a weight loss coach and they're giving, here's 5 tips for meal prep. And you're like, well, what does that mean for me? I'm an artist. I don't get it. So that was why I wrote the book, because I didn't see anybody talking about how to translate how you help people when you're doing something for art.
I'm Candace Rodarty. This is Gratitude Geek, the podcast for micropreneurs who understand that gratitude is a business strategy. Joining us today is Miriam Schulman, best-selling author of Artpreneur, the step-by-step guide to making a sustainable living from your creativity, and the host of the Inspiration Place podcast. We are talking about building a business that aligns with your values. Welcome, Miriam.
Well, thanks, Candace, for having me. So happy to be here.
We're coming up on Thanksgiving. Talk about gratitude and business.
One thing that I get from a lot of artists is they're setting their goals and immediately they start to go into like a scarcity mode. Like they think about everything they want and they're focused on the big gap of where they are now and where they want to go. And you may have talked about this technique on the podcast. So one thing that I always tell my clients to do is when they're writing their goals, and so we're both in pre-Thanksgiving, but also we're getting into that season where people are going to be starting to set their goals for 2026 and set their resolutions. So one thing I tell them to do is when they're making the list of things that they want, to put in things that they already have. So in other words, let's just throw in an income goal. I want to make $100,000 in 2026, but then also say something like, I want clean drinking water. I want 2 children. Say things that you already have. Now, I happen to have 2 children, so that one works for me. But start putting in things that you already have into that your want list of things that you don't have. Because what that helps you do is it helps you step into that feeling of gratitude at the same time that you're setting the goal, so that you're creating your goal list not from that place of lack, but that complete fullness of gratitude for what you already have.
What you appreciate appreciates. It's one of my favorite sayings. And, I know it seems somebody listening right now will go, I'm grateful for clean drinking water. It's not a reality for everybody.
No, it isn't.
And we
guess
really-
what? It may not be reality for all of us all the time in the future either. I mean, I'm in New York City. We didn't have clean air for a while, during forest fires that was in Canada. We didn't have clean air.
Yeah.
So there's things that we have that we take for granted.
Yeah. I recently saw a statistic that was startling, the number of people who died actually from lung issues related to the wildfire smoke. And I was like, holy crap, because I have breast cancer in my lungs. So immediately my doctor was like, make sure you keep all the windows closed. Make sure you got a good filter in your air conditioner. Put air filters in all the rooms to make sure that the smoke was not coming in and affecting me. But there are people who don't have a doctor who looks out for them that way, or didn't realize that the funny smell in the air was going to affect their lungs. So, and there's nothing anyone can do about it other than pay attention when people say it's a climate issue, right? In your previous life, you did something really different than what you're doing now. So talk about the transition of going from hedge fund analyst,
correct,
to making a very sustainable living from your art.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, sometimes I feel like I'm still doing the same thing. When I was working on Wall Street, one of the things I was doing was creating kind of an experience for the traders I was working for, so that their question, it was kind of like I was making a user interface. So their questions could be answered by what the PhDs were doing in my back office and kind of interfacing with them. So much of what I do now is exactly that. I'm creating an experience for my podcast listeners. I'm creating an experience for my clients. I'm creating an experience for people who read the book. It's like, how do we take ideas and then translate it in a way that people can understand what it is that they can actually use that information. So that's to answer a question that you didn't even ask me. But what you did ask me is how did I make that transition, or why on Wall Street to begin with? Which one?
You know what? You roll with it because you're on a roll.
Okay. So, like many creatives, yeah, I wanted to be an artist. If you asked me in like fourth grade, fifth grade, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say, oh, an artist or a writer. That's what I thought I could do. But then over time, my conditioning, my parents, society told me otherwise. No, you can't. No, you can't. So going to college on financial aid with big student loans to pay back, I didn't feel I had the luxury. So where do they make money? They make it on Wall Street. And if that's the alternative, if that's what I need to do right now, that's what I'm going to do. So that's how I found myself on Wall Street. But after 9/11 happened, Candace, I knew I couldn't go back to that world. I had been prudent enough to put money aside when I was working on Wall Street that I could make a transition and go into my art full time. And I did not look back after that.
I think that's one of the most important things when you make a huge pivot like that is that just keep going forward. Even if you can't see what's in front of you, you know that the road is in front of you. You just have to keep
I
going.
knew going back wasn't an option.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the hero's journey. Lots of movies are like this, Luke Skywalker, he sees the planet getting blown up. There's that moment where you can't go back. Dorothy's house gets blown out of Kansas and lands in Oz. Oh, it was all a dream. But, you have that moment in these journeys where you can't go back. So for me, 9/11, it was kind of like, no, there's no going back. You see that building you used to work in, that's now a pile of ash. So, but also, and this is something I talk about in my book, when I was working in that building and the trade center was bombed, a lot of people don't remember it or aren't old enough to remember it. So the trade center was bombed in 93 when I was working there. This is way before 9/11. And so I was in the building and they didn't tell us to evacuate the building. They didn't tell us that. They didn't even tell us what was happening. We didn't really have cell phones. I mean, then it was 1993, and the power went out. I walked up 37 flights of stairs to return to my desk, and when I look out the window, I see, oh, helicopters circling the building and people breaking glass and smoke coming out. And then like, yeah, on our Reuters feed, we learned what had happened. But what were my coworkers doing? They were just working. They were working. So that was the culture that you work even when there's a terrorist attack happening right next door. So that's why when 9/11 happened, Candace, I knew I was not going to go back to that world. By the grace of God, there go I. We're grateful. Let's be grateful. Like I was not there that day on 9/11, but I knew that this was not for me. I could not be work for a culture that valued finishing your work over somebody's life. So that was a big choice. Now, I had the 9/11 moment, but lots of people who are listening have these moments in our life. Sometimes it's a global scale, like the pandemic was that moment for many people, but sometimes it's a more private matter. Perhaps for you, Candace, when you had your breast cancer diagnosis, that might have been a moment for you. So people have these moments of themselves, their partner, there's a death that shows them, are these the choices I want to be making for the rest of my life?
My daughter was 2 years old when 9/11 happened. And 9/11 changed everything. I mean, it was a pivotal moment in society across the board.
And where were you living?
I was living in Texas, in a small community in Texas. My daughter was 2, and my husband and I knew that our daughter would never live in a world where that hadn't happened. That she wasn't gonna have the same viewpoint that he and I did. We were both teenagers in the 80s. We have a worldview, as Gen X. I think you're Gen X too.
I am. I'm like listening. I'm like, oh, we're the same age.
Yeah, we have a
Don't we look
world.
great? We
We
look good.
do, we do.
Yeah.
We have this worldview that includes what life was like before the internet. And so we are the generation that straddles both worlds. So we look at things differently and we get things done differently. I still feel like my heart is still open to new ideas. And a lot of folks aren't anymore. The people are stuck in their ways. But 9/11, it was a pivot point for everyone. And I think that there isn't a person alive today who was alive then and remembers that moment who can't say that something changed in their life that day. And yeah, the pandemic is another one of those instances where that
Yeah.
happened. And I would argue to say that we're in one of those moments now. We're having one of those moments again. Nothing is ever going to be the same again. But again, you just keep moving forward.
Yes.
Want to add to that?
Yeah. Where do you want to take the conversation next?
Let's touch on Gen X for a second. What are some of the things that some of the strengths that you think that you have because of the generation that you grew up in?
That's a great question. I think we were the last generation that played outside. Did you play
Yeah.
outside as a
Yeah.
kid?
God, all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, there was no, like, texting your mother where, no play dates.
Yeah.
It was BS. We just went outside and played with the kids in the neighborhood. Like,
My
what happened to that? When I raised my kids, no, it had to be a play date. That's not a regional thing, is it? I was wondering if that was, like, a
No,
neurotic New York.
it's not a neurotic New York thing. I think that when they made the registry for sexual predators, where they have to if you are convicted of a sex crime, you have to register in this database. When that became something that just anybody had access to, and it didn't really even matter what the crime was, right? You don't know what the crime was, you just know
Yeah.
they're in this database.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the reason. Maybe you have research that it is. I just remember when I was raising my kids, and at a certain point, I decided I didn't feel I needed to walk my son back and forth to school. Like now, my daughter walk. I walked back and forth simply because my son was younger than her, so I was walking both of them. And then when my son was the youngest and the only one in elementary, I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, we lived less than a mile from the school. And he walked to school with somebody else, and he walked home some of the time with somebody else. And one of my friends said to me, "You don't think it could happen that like a van can pull up and kidnap him?" I was like, "Well, yeah, but I still swim in the ocean." Like I could also get bitten by a shark. I could also get struck by lightning. Like, yes, it's not that I don't think something can happen, but I'm not going to live my life on that like remote
Fear.
possibility. Yes.
That was
Yes.
what I was trying to get to, where we became afraid.
Yes.
Fear overtook us.
Yes. And so many people live a life dominated by fear, even on the littlest level. Well, I was coaching my clients about how to put out their Black Friday sequence. And one of my clients says, "Yeah, but I'm worried about that being too many emails. Can I give them the option not to get all those emails?" I was like, "Well, you can, but they're on your list because they want to buy your art. So the only reason not to get those emails is if they don't want to buy your art, and therefore they should just be able to unsubscribe. Like, why are you letting the fear of maybe possibly annoying somebody who doesn't want what you have to offer? Like making decisions based on fear, there's not going to be a good outcome with that."
I actually like it when people unsubscribe from my list because
Of
I know that
course.
that my message no longer serves them.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just like don't hyper focus on the people who don't want what you have.
Mhm.
It's like I'm always telling my team that because every once in a while, like we have about 30,000 people on my email list at this point, which I'm very grateful for. And so if we get one or two emails that complains about this or that, I have to remind my team, we cannot run our business on the 1 out of 30,000 that has this complaint because you do not want to build your business around somebody who's complaining when they're not even your customer. Build your business around the people who love you. Build your business about the 1% who buys from you, who wants to get every email, who loves your emails, who loves your podcast, who loves your art. That's who you should be building your business around.
So my husband and I launched a custom furniture business in 98. And so we launched our website in 98 or 99. It was probably towards the end of the year. So I'm going to say we launched our website in 98. So we were doing internet marketing before people had more than AOL as their, to dial up internet. And I just remember receiving an email once from a client who we had just delivered his furniture to him. And he said, he goes, "I'm going to unsubscribe from your list because I've already purchased what I want from you." And that lesson was exactly what I needed. He knew where to find us if he ever wanted custom furniture again. He was done. It's not like well, we did have people who collected furniture for my
No,
husband,
people
but
will
yeah,
collect over and over and over again, but that's what I'm saying. That's his
yeah,
story, and just
yeah.
let it be his
But
story.
it was a learning lesson for me, you know?
That
I don't
sometimes people just like I had an art collector unsubscribe from me who cares? Like that's what I said. Like, and there's other people who they stay on the list year after year. You don't even know they're on the list, and suddenly they buy from you
Mhm.
because you kept in touch. And I act the same way. So I'm on Kate Spade list because I want to make sure, like, if they're having a sale and there's something I want to buy, that I know about it. Now, I may delete most of the emails and I may overspend on Kate Spade because I'm on their email list, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, and I'm the opposite of you. I unsubscribe until I want back in. There's very few people that I stay subscribed to just because I'm one of those people who gets overwhelmed by email. Okay,
see, I
go
say
ahead.
subscribe to everything because I like to see what works and I like to
Mm.
study the marketing, like what works on me.
What works?
Yes.
That's a good point.
So
What works on
unless
me?
if I don't like the emails, and I don't like the product, I will unsubscribe. But if it's a product I like or I like the way they're marketing, I will stay on the emails just to see yeah, I see what you're doing here. Like Anthropology be like, here's what you should wear for brunch. That's helpful to me. It's not like here's something to buy. It's here's how you can wear this 3 different ways. Oh, that's helpful to me. So, like, to study why you're opening an email and what subject lines they're using, and
That's a good psychology discussion that we can talk about. Giving people not saying buy this, but saying here are 3 benefits of this, or I like the 3 ways to wear this. Give me an example for an artist.
sure. So, one of my favorite techniques that I tell artists they should use is always be showing things that they can't buy. So, what you're saying when it's not about buying something, here's something I just sold. Now that creates FOMO in the person's mind. It lets their defenses down because they know, well, she's not trying to sell this to me because you can't buy this thing, but it really makes them want it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's basically what I did when I was email marketing for the furniture business. Look what we just shipped. Yeah.
Exactly. Look what we just did.
Yeah.
This is what, so telling and that works for every single business. Look what we just did. We just
Mhm.
did this. This is what we did. This is because what people want is the result anyway.
So your book, it says Artpreneur, and it's for creatives, but after I read it, I realized it's for every solopreneur.
It is, but, like, they don't want you to say it's for everybody because if it's for everybody, it's for nobody. But, like, the thing is artists always think us artists, we think we're special. We think the rules don't apply to us and that we need our own special rule book. And I see you artists, you do need that because it's really boring to read about how to get somebody onto an email list who is a weight loss coach when you're not a weight loss coach and they're giving here's 5 tips for meal prep and you're like, well, what does that mean for me? I'm an artist, I don't get it. So that was why I wrote the book, because I didn't see anybody talking about how to translate. This is like going back to what I was saying, like how I feel I'm still doing the same thing as I did 20, 30 years ago. Like, how do you translate how you help people when you're doing something for art, something that maybe is not a need, but something that is like a want. So you talk about not their night sweats, you need to talk about their wet dreams. What is it they really want?
That's very tantalizing. I've highlighted 2 sections of your book that I actually really wanted to talk to you about. So
Good.
the first one is the abundant artist lesson number 4, some buyers want what's most popular. So how do we use that piece of
Well,
information?
okay, first of all, like what I just said, look what I just sold. Okay, so I would always do that. Like, oh, look, I just sold this sunflower painting. Yeah, I want a sunflower painting. Oh, too bad. You got to get a commission now. They're all gone. So, like, the things that it's sold out, there's definitely the scarcity tactics that you can use, but people at the heart of making a buying decision. And I talk about this in terms also in my book as the belief triad, Candace. So, a lot of times, us as sellers, we think people are evaluating Candace, Miriam, what it is that you're selling, what it is that I'm selling, your product. When really the conversation they're always having with themselves is, am I worth it? Am I worth investing in for this thing that I want? And so that is really what is at the core of it. And then the other thing is they're worried about bringing it back to what I said before about making a mistake. So they're afraid of looking stupid. They're afraid of it being a bad choice. So if you can help them understand that this is a choice, so you said about it being popular, that all these other people like it, that helps them minimize that decision fatigue. Like, I can't trust myself if this is a cute shirt or not. But, and you see this all the time. Like, I have like a Bowden catalog right here. I was like looking at Bowden's website. It'll say this jacket is flying out of here. Like, if you go to their website, people are adding this to their cart right now. So that whole concept of popular, it's about
Yeah, that 6 people have this in their cart right now. Etsy has
correct.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Etsy has that. 6 people have this in their cart. And Bowden, the way they do it is like, this is selling out really fast. So it does 2 things. It's one, it's not just like, oh, if I don't buy this now, it will be gone, because they don't say how many quantities are there, but they're letting you know, oh, lots of other people want this. So if you're doubting whether this is cute, if you're worried about making a mistake, all these other people think it's cute.
This would translate to selling in person too, because online it's really easy to just create a, little algorithm that says whenever this is popular, say it's popular. But when you're in like
No,
you're
no, no, no. It totally translates in person. I went to join a gym 2 years ago when I moved to New York City, and I saw the person who was walking me around the gym using these techniques with me. So what it is that the easiest way to describe it is mirroring. So I would say something like, "Oh, I'm looking at the gym because actually this is actually true, because we're renovating our bathroom, and I really just need a nice bathroom while they're renovating the bathroom, right?" So you think that's like a ludicrous thing to say while you're joining the gym? No. He was like, "Yeah, lots of college students join the gym for the same reason, because they don't want to share a bathroom." So whatever I said, like he was like, "Yes. That's a great reason." Like, he is reaffirming my choices. So that is absolutely something you do in person.
I wonder where he got that training, because that's excellent. I mean, that is
Well, that's what
sales
I
101,
talk
yeah.
about in my book. Was like, I was working for a gym when I got my initial training, and that's when I said to myself, "Aha, I can use exactly what they're teaching me now to sell my portraits."
Mhm.
Like, it's just sales technique.
I don't know if it's one of your points or not, but something that I learned from the 20 years that my husband and I owned this bespoke furniture business was that some people want the most expensive.
Yes.
So
It
talk
is a
about that.
point. It is a point in my book. I don't remember which one, but like artist abundant. Yeah. So it's called a Veblen good named after Thomas Veblen, or maybe it's Veblen. Your listeners can tell me if I'm saying it wrong. So what it is it's something that's more desirable because it's expensive. So examples of this would be like a Tesla, a Birkin bag, men who like high-end watches. They like it because it signals wealth. And there's something about that to them.
There's also an unrealistic correlation that expensive means higher quality.
Well, sometimes it does, but that is what's in your customer's mind, which is why cheaper is not easier to sell. So one of
It's
the
actually
anti
harder to sell, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like if you were to look at Rolex watches, there is no way you can sell a Rolex watch for $47 on eBay. You
Mm-mm,
can't. It can't be done.
mm-mm.
It can't be done. Or even $400. It can't be done. It would be easier to sell a Rolex watch for 4,000. It would be even easier to sell it for 6,000 than it would be to sell it for 400 or $47.
So I once purchased a Coach purse. I think I saw off of Etsy or eBay, and I think I paid like $60 for it. And I was like, this can't be a real Coach purse. But I like the purse, and it's exactly the size and everything that I need, so I'm gonna buy it anyway. So I get it in, and it's got the little Coach thingy embossed in the inside and everything. But I'm looking at this person, I'm going, I really have no idea if this is a real. Coach purse or not, because it didn't look like anything I could find anywhere else, but it served my purpose. So yeah, I don't, to this day, I don't know if it's a real Coach purse, but I didn't buy it because of the brand. I bought it because it's what I needed for a purse. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So if I did get a Coach for $60, it's bonus, right? Okay. The second section from your book that I wanted to talk about was, oh, and I think this is absolutely brilliant that you did this because I know artists. I'm married to one, and this is something that's really hard for them, and that's overcoming objections. And you've actually created a step-by-step process. Objection, how to overcome it. Objection, how to overcome it. So this is a mindset, but you've
Yeah.
given
I
artists a
started to
tool.
like talk about it with the belief triad, and then I realized I wasn't answering the correct question because the correct question was people about having worrying about making a mistake when things, and that's why it's good to tell when people are popular. So when I was talking about the belief triad, belief in yourself, belief in what you're selling, and then belief in the customer. So when you look at that overcoming objections chart, what it really does is it helps you step into empathy for your customer about what really is going through their mind. So, yes, they could be afraid of making a mistake, but they also could be afraid of spending money on themselves, not because they don't have it, but because they don't think themselves as worth it. So, Candace, if you were going to buy a $400 Coach bag, you might hesitate not because you don't think the Coach bag is worth it, but you don't think you're worth spending $400 on something that you really want. And that goes through a lot of customers' minds when they're making a purchase. Now, the problem is if we think it's because of us, our product, or our price, and we're not arguing with the correct argument. We're making the wrong argument. It doesn't matter if we say, oh, I'll make it $300 because the person just doesn't think they're worth spending money on. That's their true objection. So if you go through that coming objections chart, what it helps you see is what's really going through their mind so that you're not making the wrong argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably my favorite part of the book, which is why I tell everyone like get the paperback or get it on Kindle so you have that chart for yourself, whether it's here's the ones I'm just going to tease your listeners like it's too expensive. I need to think about it. I have to ask my partner. I can't afford it. I'm saving up for it. I'm just shopping around. So those are the objections that I cover inside that chart.
And also the mindset of it's not my art, it's the
It's
customer.
not,
Yeah.
it's never, they wouldn't be having that conversation with you. They have to get out of their own way. So you have to help them with it. And that's where your confidence is going to make a huge difference. The brain hates uncertainty. We hate it and our customers hate it too. So if you're the type of person who has trouble making decisions, if you're the type of person who doubts, your customer is going to feel that. They're not going to know that you're doubting whether or not whatever, but they will feel that doubt and that will make them second guess their decision. And they're already afraid of making a mistake.
And like I said, I'm married to an artist, and he's been in some art shows where I have, as a non-artist, I have wandered around looking at what's going on in the show. And I've noticed that sometimes the most popular art at that show is like trendy, or you could pick up something identical to that at Hobby Lobby,
I
right?
can promise it's not the art. I can promise it's the confidence of the person selling it.
Exactly. But it's not just that. It's that people talking about it. And then when people hear someone talking about it, they're like, "Let me go look. Oh, yes, I like that too." Right?
Right. Well, like I said about the most popular, it's also like when you see a booth with lots of people in front of it, it's kind of like, driving past a restaurant, the one that has no cars in front, you keep going.
Mhm.
And the diner with a lot of cars in front. Oh, yeah, that must be good.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I remember this one time this was many, many years ago. I was on a date with a dude, and we were gonna go grab some food, and so we were in Oakland, California, and there's a strip in Oakland where there's like 4 Chinese restaurants all on the same street. And I immediately wanted to go to the one that was packed, and he wanted to go to the one that didn't have anybody in it, and so I acquiesced to him, and it was the worst Chinese food ever.
Yeah, as long as there weren't any roaches. Like,
You know?
I was on a date once where there was like a roach and I was trying to pretend like it was okay and it was not okay.
Yeah,
Like, it's not
no,
okay.
no, no roaches. I really want to talk about aligning your business with your values, with, making sure that you're not in a situation where the life feels like it's being sucked out of you like it did when you worked for Wall Street. What is the first thing that somebody needs to do to build a business that aligns with their values?
Well, you have to be aware of what your values are. And a lot of people, they can't tell you.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
You want me to say, I don't want to put you on a spot because I was about to ask you what your values are, but I can tell you off the top of my head, my top 2 values as a company. Do you want to hear them?
Absolutely.
Okay, my number 1 value as a company, my team knows this. It's employees first. It's actually not customer first. It's employees first. It's customer second. Because if a customer is rude or mean to my employee, I take their side. I am not I remember seeing, I'm not gonna badmouth the person I saw, but let's just say famous guru with a podcast with huge presence. Their brand values, what they had shared it was like, "We do whatever it takes." I was like, "No, we don't do whatever it takes. We don't." That's what employee first means to me. My team does not work on the weekends. That's what an employee first business looks like. It's not let's do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. That's what I left behind in Wall Street with the tower burning and the people sitting there at their desks working.
And I think that that is a cultural shift, though. The bros that were around before still had that mentality, but people who are creating businesses now don't, because that whole
Yeah,
customer
there's
first,
some girls with the bro mentality because the person I'm thinking about actually is like a she boss, but
that's a
there's a lot
bro.
of she bosses. Yeah, I know.
That's why I hate that term boss babe, because I
Well,
just,
it's the sorority version of the bros. That's
yeah,
all. Like,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's,
And they all wear their hair the same way and they all have like the on their podcast. Have you seen that?
and
Like
the foreheads that have no wrinkles,
well, I can't judge that because I used to do that too.
but, it's this particular look.
It is. And they all go through a phase where they all look the same. For a while, there were like 5 different she bosses who all were touching one side of their hair and had their open mouth.
My thing was the lipstick. When they had to have this bright red lipstick. It's like, I called them lipstick coaches.
Well, that's hilarious.
I did notice that when I sent you an email, maybe last week, whenever it was, I sent you an email and I got a message back that said that you were celebrating a religious observance
Yes,
and that you'd
that's
be
right.
back in 2 days. And
Yes.
it was fine. I didn't need to hear back from you right away. And I think that we need to get past that in society. Is like, I need an answer right now. I didn't need to hear back from you then. I
Yeah.
could wait.
Yeah.
I didn't need to hear back from you at all for that.
What does employee first business look like? It's not that we don't respect our customers. That's not what it is. But on Friday, at the end of the day, the person who's in charge of customer service turns on an autoresponder that says, "These are our hours. We will get back to you on Monday." So they have an autoresponder. And then I let them know I'm going to be observing these religious Jewish holidays. I will not be answering email. Make sure that people who are expecting a response from me know that. This is not something that you can handle, let them know. Miriam, we will give this to Miriam, but she won't be available until this date. So
And I applaud you for that.
thank you.
Applaud you for that. I'm one of those people who gets more done at night than during I have set working hours, but I work set
And that's
interface hours.
fine too. Like not now, but my VA prior, she liked to work on the weekends. So part of being an employee first business is not that I said you can't work on the weekends. If you feel that you want to get your work done on the weekends to have a better life balance, you may. So that's the
Yeah,
difference.
I think balance is the right word, finding what works for you. But I did hear advice that I haven't implemented, that if you do have set business hours that are public facing, but you work different hours for yourself, right? That you should only send emails during your published business hours. And I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Well, that's so easy. I'll tell you right now. That's easy. You have
Yes?
Gmail?
No, I use Outlook.
Well, then Outlook is the same thing. I do this all the time. Like if I feel like snacking on work during the weekends and I'm responding to somebody, I will schedule the response, which you can
Smart.
do in pretty much every single thing. You just schedule an email. I use Slack with my team. Sometimes my team schedules things with me, like emails with, messages with me. I schedule with them. You can't schedule text from your iPhone. That's one thing Android users can do that iPhone users can't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's positives and negatives for everything. I love Slack. The groups that I am in that use Slack as our base are the ones that I engage with.
Well, you mean as like a coaching client, not as like an
Yes.
employer.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I join your circle group or whatever I can't even think of any other of those websites that people use to create these memberships. But if I join your membership platform, I'm most likely never going to visit it again because I don't think to go into your platform and log in.
Mm.
But with Slack, it's there in my desktop. And, when I feel like looking to see what's going on in the groups that I'm in, which is just two, I'm engaging. That's a tip for coaches. If you're a coach right there, think about using Slack instead of one of those membership programs because I think there are people who will log in. I just am not one of them. Oh, talk to me about your Artpreneur Daily Altar using AI. What's that about?
Thank you for asking. Okay. So it's free. If a listener wants it, totally free. Schulmanart.com/altar, spelled Altar.
Linked in the
And
show notes.
yes, and this is a custom GPT. I will explain what a custom GPT is because I didn't know what it was until I finally did it myself. It's basically instead of giving a prompt to ChatGPT, the prompts are built into this thing. So you click on it, go to thing, and there's a demo there, but I'll just explain what it is. For my thing, it helps me organize my brain in the morning. So I talk to it and it has the prompts already coded in. It asks you to choose a word for the day. What's the most important things you're doing today? Do you want to tell me what your schedule is? Yes, here's, maybe I'll screenshot my Gmail, my Google Calendar and show it to it. And then my favorite part of it are the muses. Have you tried this out yet, Candace?
Oh, I
Good.
haven't played with your
Okay.
altar yet. No.
So it'll ask you, is there a problem you're ruminating about right now that is going to interfere with your focus? Which pretty much is always yes. So you put that problem on the altar and it will first walk you through the 4 questions, which is a Byron Katie technique of like, is this really true? How can it not be true? It'll walk you through that and help show you where your mindset's getting tripped up. And then it will invite muses to discuss your problem. I have some muses already programmed in. I have like Professor Dumbledore, George O'Keefe, but you can invite any muse you want. So you can invite Mick Jagger, you can invite your favorite dead president. You can invite whoever you want to the altar and they will discuss your problem. And so it's basically kind of like a what would Jesus say type of program. It will use the patterning of that person and say, well, what would George O'Keefe say about this problem? What would Dumbledore say about this problem? And it helps me give a new perspective on something I'm ruminating on. And then it helps me carry on with the rest of my day with mental clarity.
This sounds brilliant. I can't wait to play with it. I recently have switched from ChatGPT to Claude as my primary AI. I just find that Claude and I are more aligned with each other.
Claude is great. It's just ChatGPT is like that boyfriend who really knows me. Like, he already knows all my problems.
I want to talk to you about being an artist who is embracing AI because there are a lot of artists out there who are like think that AI is just the Antichrist. So talk about that.
Well, if you're a digital artist, I can see you being upset about it, although I have yet to be impressed by digital art created by AI. Like, every art I see created by AI looks like art created by AI.
Hmm.
That's a problem for me.
Hmm.
However, the same problem could happen with your words. So we were talking earlier about knowing your values, knowing your brand values. If you're not aware of what your values are, what your words are, what you need to be talking about, and you go to use something, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, that's when you're going to come out with words that are very generic. So AI is only as good as how well you use it. I like to think of it as a high powered Lamborghini. It can go really fast, but you have to know how to steer it. Us Gen X girls are ready to do it.
That is the thing that is the most true about AI is that AI is a fantastic vehicle, but you're driving it.
That's right.
You are driving it, and you can drive poorly or you can drive really well.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take it back what I said about the AI art. My friend made the most hilarious image of this old lady with like one stocking falling down with a walker, but she had this huge Stanley cup. Like that's how she was staying hydrated. Like, and she generated with AI. So again, like that's what I'm saying. Like it can be used for something useful. It's
But
like if you have to be clever though.
your friend knew exactly what to tell the AI to make.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
don't, you get crap.
You get crap. You get something that's very generic,
Yeah.
whether it's words or art.
Yeah. Yeah. And, my husband and I don't really argue about it, but he has much different viewpoints of AI than I do. I mean, I use AI as a tool. I iterate ideas with it constantly. And sometimes I'll do what you do. I'll like here's what I'm doing. What gaps do you see in what I'm doing? And sometimes it'll come back with some really great ideas, and sometimes it won't. And I'll literally say, "That's BS. I don't like that at all."
Correct.
Right?
Like you're
And
gaslighting me.
yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
hate
my.
when it says that's a very sharp instinct. I'm like,
Hmm.
no, it isn't.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. One ninja tip I want to give the listeners, if you are using AI to write any copy for you, ask it to grade itself. Like, what grade would you give this? And it might come back with like a 75 or something. Then you say, okay, yeah, well, how can it be better?
That is a brilliant idea. I love that idea. I'm going to try that the next time I work with it to write an article. I'm going to try that tomorrow when I write my next blog post tomorrow. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you absolutely want to talk about?
No, I mean, if you like what you heard today, you can come find me on the Inspiration Place podcast. There's more of what I talked about today over there. Wherever you're listening to Gratitude Geek, you will find the Inspiration Place.
And there'll be links in the show notes, y'all. All right. Miriam Schulman, this is your moment of gratitude. As someone who teaches others to lead with gratitude and values in their business, what's one specific moment or person from your entrepreneurial journey that you're deeply grateful for? Someone or something that shifted your path in an unexpected way?
Well, there were two teachers, and I gave them both shout outs in my book. The first chapter, my fourth grade teacher, who called me the class artist, and I just chose to believe her. Oh, let's just leave it with that one. I ended my book with a teacher as well. And we have a lot of teachers in our lives. Some of them are actual teachers, and some of them we don't call them teachers.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for female solopreneurs over 40, building genuine, lasting connection with clients, colleagues, and community. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. To connect with Miriam Schulman, there are links all over the show notes. I've been your host, Candice Darty. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.